I want a divorce, Emily. While I was doing the dishes, my husband, Andrew, suddenly told me, out of the blue. What? Why? I was too shocked to say anything else. I'm about to receive $3 million, which is a lot of money. But it's all mine, I have no intention of sharing it with you. What does it have to do with us getting a divorce? To be honest with you, I've been with you for the money. Your salary wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. So I put up with our marriage. But once I get that $3 million, I won't need you anymore. I want to live alone and enjoy my life, so let's split up. Fine by me. As for the house, you can either sell it, or you can keep it and pay off the mortgage. It's up to you. I said without any hesitation, and that surprised Andrew. In fact, I was relieved to finally be able to end this tiresome marriage. I slammed some documents on the living room table. My name is Emily. I love children and work as a preschool teacher. I met Andrew, who was 2 years older than me, through a mutual friend. We'd been married for almost 8 years. Soon after we got married, we bought a house, expecting to have a few kids and to live a happy life as a family. But Andrew had suddenly changed after the marriage. He started talking about money all the time. Also, he became very sarcastic towards me. He used to think I had a wonderful job and never complained about it. But sometime after we married, he started saying, "Emily, what you do all day is playing with kids. You're living the good life, while I'm working hard." His constant refrain was that I was nothing but a freeloader. Being a preschool teacher isn't an easy job. It's hard, physically and emotionally demanding, as each child is different. No matter how much I argued, he wouldn't listen to me. It was so frustrating. There was a reason why we didn't have children after 8 years of marriage. He thought having kids was a waste of time and money, so he would often tell me not even to think about it and to work harder. What were you thinking? Quitting your job just because you want a child? We have a mortgage to pay off. Don't bring up this topic ever again. I couldn't say anything back to him. Andrew earned more than I did. But the difference in our salaries wasn't that significant. In fact, it was only a few $1,000s difference. Yet he would always act like he was better than me. I took pride in my work and found it fulfilling. That was why I was shocked to learn of the negative perception he had of my work. His words pierced my heart. I would often feel tears welling up in my eyes. Lately, Andrew kept saying he wanted to be alone. I could live by myself if I wanted to, but I'm staying with you out of obligation. Don't forget that. I tried to understand why he became so condescending towards me. Maybe his recent increase in overtime was affecting him in a bad way. Because you don't work hard enough, I have to do overtime to earn more. But you don't even appreciate it. He began to blame me more frequently. But, despite the overtime he was doing, his salary didn't seem to increase at all. I was keeping a close eye on our household income, so I knew this much. There is not much difference in income between us, right? So I don't see why you are blaming me like this. It seemed that what I said to him pushed his buttons, and made him angrier than ever before. Who do you think is making this lifestyle possible? Don't forget I can leave you anytime I want, so be prepared. I felt threatened when he said that. He was never like this before we got married. After this incident, our conversations dwindled. Then, one day, something happened which pushed me further into despair. During a visit to my in-laws' house for Thanksgiving, my mother-in-law, while serving tea, said, "You two have been married for 8 years now, haven't you? Emily, I remember you saying you wanted kids. Have you decided on when and how many, considering your age?" I thought this was the only time to discuss it. So, I was about to speak up. But Andrew interjected, "Mom, we've decided not to have kids. Emily and I have talked it over." "Oh, is that so?" "Yes, Emily always says she absolutely hates the idea of having to take care of kids, both at work and at home." "Wait. What are you talking about? Mom, please don't bring up this topic. It would stress her out, you know?" "But, that's not what I..." "Well, parenting can be very hard. And if you two decided not to have kids, I guess it's good for you, said my mother-in-law before leaving the table, and I couldn't bring myself to ask her for advice. On our way back home, I confronted Andrew. Why did you lie to your mother? I love to have kids, and you're the one who doesn't. The fact is, you don't work hard enough for us to even think about having kids. You need to earn as much as I do first. Then, we'll talk. Kids are so expensive, you know. I didn't realize until I married you that your income as a preschool teacher was very low. I should have known better. I can't believe. I'll tell you what. I don't even like kids and never wanted one. They're just a financial burden, and I'd rather spend money on myself. Andrew laughed as if it was just a bad joke, but I was too stunned to speak. I knew I shouldn't bring personal issues to work. But this time, I couldn't hide my emotions very well. As children were sensitive to these things. Emma, a child in my classroom, approached me. Ms. White, are you okay? Is there something wrong? I'm okay. I am sorry for worrying you. I replied, patting her head. Emma wasn't the noticeable child, but she was kind and compassionate. She must have loving and good parents. I know you're not okay. Where's your smile? I don't like seeing Ms. White like this, she said sadly. I felt disappointment in myself for troubling a small child like her. Maybe my dad can help you. He's a superhero, always helping people. He's picking me up tomorrow, so I'll tell him. Emma's mom would usually pick her up from daycare. But because she would be very busy on the next day, Emma's dad would come instead. I told Emma I was okay, but she insisted on introducing me to her dad. I only saw him briefly when he came to talk to the management of the preschool, getting the details of the admissions procedure. So I was a bit nervous. The next day, as Emma said, her dad came to pick her up. Hi, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you. Emma talks a lot about you. She seems to be having a great time at daycare. Nice to meet you too. Please call me Emily. Emma is such a sweet child. I responded, impressed by his politeness. But I hesitated to discuss personal matters with him. Especially ones that were quite embarrassing. They weren't the sort of things I could easily share with others. Can you please help Ms. White, Dad? She seems to be in trouble, Emma said. Thank you, Emma, but... Emily, I understand. It's hard to talk about certain things, especially to someone you've just met. But my daughter is really worried about you. So please let me help you. Saying that, Jack handed me his business card. I was surprised to see his job title. And meeting him literally changed my life. It was that very moment that I decided to take revenge on Andrew. As I needed to keep the revenge legal, I needed some time for the preparation. One day, Andrew suddenly approached me. Hey, let's get a divorce. It was one of those rare evenings when Andrew came home early and we had dinner together. I was doing the dishes after dinner when he suggested our divorce. Thinking that I was confused by his words, Andrew smirked unpleasantly. I know you don't want to, but I've already made up my mind. Can you at least tell me why you want a divorce? I'm about to receive a big sum of money. Guess how much? $3 million. Then he continued. I've been with you only for the money you make. It's nothing compared to what I earn, but it was better than nothing. But now that I'll get $3 million, I don't need you anymore. Let's just split up. Where did all this money come from? I had many things to say to him, but I started with that question. That's none of your business. We're practically strangers from now on. Okay. Surprised by my prompt agreement, Andrew looked a bit startled. By the way, I have no intention of staying in this tiny old house. I'll have $3 million very soon, so I'm thinking of buying a bigger house. I hope you have no objection to me selling this house. Alright, then I'll start looking for an apartment for myself. You can find an agent and organize property viewings and all, right? Yes, leave it with me. I'll take care of all that. That's the least I can do. Thanks. After that, I went straight to our bedroom and started packing up my stuff. Andrew looked puzzled, watching me move swiftly. For the next few weeks, I was very busy packing and looking for a rental apartment. Once I found a place for myself, I moved all my stuff out of the house. On my last day at the house, I had another talk with Andrew. As we discussed before, we're selling this house, and you'll be organizing the agent and everything else. I don't want any disputes over our property settlement, so I've prepared a written agreement. Can you please sign here? Why not? Just to make sure you won't complain later. As usual, he said one word too many. I was irritated by what he said, of course, but I knew that I had to stay calm. Andrew, who was reading the agreement, suddenly stopped and asked me, "Hey, what's this compensation about? Why should I pay you? I think this should be the other way around. You should pay me. Didn't think you would get caught? You're really naive." I laid some photos out on the table. Seeing them, Andrew's face turned pale. "Thank you for working so late every day. I appreciate how hard you were working for us. You must love working with your girlfriend." They were the photos of Andrew and a woman walking arm in arm. "She is just a colleague of mine. We weren't really walking arm in arm, although it looked like we were in the photos." "Still not admitting what you've done? Then what about this?" I showed him another photo. It showed Andrew and the same woman entering a hotel together. Instead of admitting, he became even more defensive. "This is a setup. With the modern technology, anyone can edit a photo and create a fake one. You think you can fool me with this?" I sighed deeply. As I had expected, he wouldn't admit what he'd done. I was well prepared for it. It wasn't me who took these pictures. "I think someone will be here soon." Then, the doorbell rang. Andrew looked nervous, unsure what was happening. I went to the door to greet the visitor and led him to the living room. "Andrew, this is my lawyer, Ethan. These photos were taken by a private detective I hired, so there was no chance of me fabricating them." "Nice to meet you, Andrew. I hope you don't mind me having a seat. I'd like to explain to you what's going to happen from now on. But before that, do you have any issues with the photos? I'm here to answer any questions." Seeing Ethan's confident smile, Andrew started to panic. He had been lying to me for all these years. The private detective found out he never did overtime. That explained why his income hadn't increased. He was spending his after-work hours with his girlfriend instead. When this came to light, one thing made sense to me. That was the fact that Andrew started saying he wanted to be alone. He probably wanted to be with his girlfriend and to start a new life. This lawyer I hired was incredibly skilled. It was Emma's dad, Jack, who introduced him to me. Jack turned out to be the president of a well-known company. When Emma said her dad was a superhero, she wasn't lying. After listening to my situation, Jack quickly contacted a private detective he knew very well, and also introduced me to his lawyer, Ethan. I hadn't planned to take it this far, but seeing the photo of Andrew and his girlfriend entering a hotel together was the last straw. Talking as if it was your own accomplishment. "You want compensation? I can give you some. I'll have $3 million soon, so it's not a big deal. If you're done here, just get out. I never want to see your face again." I was going to leave anyway. "If you need to discuss anything further, please contact Ethan. Don't come to me directly. I'll never want to talk to you anyway." He shouted those last words at me. I didn't say anything, but just grabbed my purse and left the house. Normal person would have been mentally affected if he was caught cheating, but not Andrew. How could he be so arrogant and egoistic? This was all I could think about as I was leaving the house. That was the end of my revenge. But then, a few months later, something happened. I was enjoying my new life in the apartment. The biggest relief was not having the source of stress anymore. Initially, I was feeling empty after our separation. But at the same time, I knew that I had no feelings left for Andrew. And that I didn't have to put up with his verbal abuse. One afternoon, Andrew showed up at my new apartment. "Please, can we talk? I'm begging you," he started yelling outside my front door, so I reluctantly let him in. "What do you want? I told you to stay out of my life." He looked around my whole apartment, having a creepy smirk on his face. Well, you've got a nice place here. There are 2 bedrooms, and you're only using one. I could probably use the other. What are you talking about? You're not welcome here. Don't be like that. We're only separated. We are separated because that is the requirement for a divorce. Anyway, what do you want? Hey, just calm down, Emily. You're scaring me. Well, the thing is, I've realized that I needed you. You said you were staying with me out of obligation, and that you were going to live in a bigger house with your girlfriend. I don't need to be with you. I was only joking when I said that. I didn't mean it. I need you desperately, Emily. You're just pretending to be strong, but you need me too, right? You said I was no longer needed because you were getting $3 million. Why don't you find your next girlfriend with that money? No. It wasn't like that. Suddenly, Andrew began to cry. The truth is, I said I was getting $3 million because I thought I won the lottery. But later on, when I looked closer at the ticket I bought, I found out that I was reading the numbers wrong. What was he even talking about? I was disgusted with what I just heard. I'd been looking for a reason to leave you. That was probably why I misread the numbers. Thinking if I had $3 million, I could divorce you and do whatever I wanted. When he saw my cold gaze, he hurriedly said, "Don't worry. I've broken up with the other woman. From now on, you're the only woman I love, Emily. So, can we start over again? You still love me, right? You're talking nonsense. I don't care about anything you've just told me. It's not my problem. Please, help me." I thought I was getting $3 million, so I insulted my boss in front of everyone, and handed in my resignation. And as for the woman I was seeing, she left me as soon as she found out I had no money. I was so glad to hear that his girlfriend dumped him. I wasn't surprised though, a man with no career, no home, and no money, who would want someone like that? That's why I can't afford a place to live. You're the only one I can rely on, Emily. As I've been saying to you, it's not my problem. You can't stay here any longer. Have you forgotten the agreement you signed a few months ago? You agreed, if you ever approached me directly, I could claim for more compensation. You weren't serious, were you? Andrew raised his hand in anger. Are you sure that's a good idea? If you lay a hand on me, I'll immediately call the police, and you might get charged with assault. This apartment has security cameras everywhere, and I'm very sure they've captured your face as you walked into this building. Andrew turned pale at those words. Please, leave. Or I'll call the police. Afraid of getting arrested, Andrew hurriedly left. I heard loud noises, such as someone fell down the stairs, but I closed my front door without any concern. That was the last time I saw Andrew. Later, my in-laws came to apologize. They had no idea what their son was like. They also told me Andrew had broken his leg falling down the stairs that day. He had to be hospitalized for 2 months, causing more expenses. He couldn't afford a place to live or the compensation payment, so he was in a difficult situation. Andrew went to see his old boss and asked him if he could get his job back, but that was denied due to his behavior when quitting. His parents had to cover a lot of the expenses for him. He was truly reaping what he sowed. Once things settled, I visited Jack's house to thank him for his help. I told him everything that happened for the last few months, and he was very pleased to hear that. I always wanted to meet you since Emma was always talking about you. I certainly didn't expect your relationship with your husband to end like this. I just reached out to my contacts. I'm glad everything worked out quite well for you. I am happy that Ms. White is happy. These two were the people who changed my life. And I was truly grateful for what they had done for me. I feel that I am who I am today because of my job as a preschool teacher. This job has taught me to cherish every moment and every person in my life.